Brian Red is kind of a YouTube guy. If you've been online, you've probably seen some of his videos. I think he's got 4 or 5 videos up now.
Yeah, something like that.
He's been working very hard to get that 5th video online. So, as soon as he
Maybe
gets
today
it,
we'll get it up.
maybe today we'll get that. But ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to Brian Red.
Who's from Minnesota? You are the nicest people I think I've ever met. You know, I'm driving traffic on my way here. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to get over to get on my exit. And I put my signal and I look back and there are like 10 car lengths behind me. It doesn't happen anywhere else in the world. Just so you guys know that. You're lucky. You're very lucky. So I won't be using the mic for the whole thing. I use it for the first part because I need to do a little introduction to this and explain the method to my madness or why I do what I do. For those of you who don't know my story, about a year and a half ago, April of 2011, I ended up having a massive stroke and I lost most of my left side. I was blind, I had complete paralysis. And I've been a DJ since I was 13, I'm 41 now, so like a lot of you, it's the only thing I ever did well. So, you know, if something comes along in your life where all of a sudden your livelihood is threatened, it's kind of scary. Well, I slowly improved and learned to walk and all that kind of stuff with a cane. And I had a lot of gigs on the books, and a lot of them went to other people. But, you know, I wanted to try to do them on my own. So in, I think, late June, I did my first one with an assistant. And that went all year. Of course, my books were full all year. From, you know, the bookings through my agent, myself. Pardon me. And I got to thinking, you know, it really sucks to pay a guy to carry a speaker. He's useless otherwise. You know, I don't need this guy, except to carry a speaker. Nice guy, you know, but I gotta explain everything to him. I gotta stay in there. And as you know, it's harder to tell somebody how to do something than it is just to do it yourself. So it became very frustrating for me. So last winter I got to thinking, had some downtime. I wonder if I could build a system, a DJ system that I could physically handle myself in every way. There are a lot of things to take into consideration on this. Not only do I have to be able to physically carry this stuff, I have to be able to physically set it up. And then there are other weird logistic problems you don't think about, like winding cables. Have you ever done that with one hand before? It's not easy. So there are a lot of things you gotta think about, figure out. I ended up doing it, and I went out and I did my first gig by myself, all by myself in May. And boy, that was a good feeling. I just felt liberated, I felt free. And in the process, I think I came up with some kind of cool ideas, some stuff I was already doing, and then, you know, some new stuff out of necessity. So I want to start with the non-ADJ stuff I am affiliated with, but not everything on my rig is ADJ, so I'm going to talk about the non-ADJ stuff first. Now what we have sitting here, this teepee here, we're at an Indian casino, it's kind of appropriate, yeah? This is a Scrim King, it's a 3-sided scrim. Some people love them, some people hate them. I mean, everybody has their opinions on them. But I found it pretty useful in a lot of ways. At first, it was a cool way to cover my cables. And then it became a real intricate part of my light show. And I'll get more to that in a minute. It's on a Frankenstand. Everybody familiar with Frankenstand? You guys all know what it is? Hydraulic, or pneumatic actually. Hydraulics, water, pneumatic is gas. Speaker stands, powered speaker stands. It's assisted. So it's easy up, easy down. So those are cool. Now we know we can get the speaker up and down without hurting myself with one hand. But how are we going to get the speaker on the tripod? Well, there's a dilemma. I have to figure out how much I can pick up. So luckily, you know, I'm going to almost every trade show in the world. I'm grabbing every speaker that everybody makes, trying to pick it up and see if I can handle it and how far I can lift it in the air. And the one I found that had the easiest handle for me and the best weight was this RCF 408A. And I got real excited about it, and then I found out that they discontinued it because the woofer's made of neodymium, which is really light, and then Apple decided they wanted to use neodymium, broke the market up on that particular metal, and it pretty much priced it out for RCF. The speakers would have more than doubled in price, so it wasn't feasible for them to make them like that anymore. The new ones are, I think, about 7 or 8 pounds heavier because they use ceramic, whatever, that's geeky stuff. But at any rate, I have the lightweight ones. I got some old stock. And let me show you how I do that.
Wow.
scratched up and transit. Should have bought covers. At any rate, then it's got to go up in the air, and this is the cool part. I love this. If you haven't seen this, this is so cool. All right, rock and roll. It's in the air. And I've got these little hooks. I don't know if you guys have scrim, but if you're having a hard time figuring out how to hook your scrim onto your speaker stands, especially the new ones, because if you've noticed the new stands, the piping on the top has gone from like 1.5 to like 1 3/8. It's gotten a little smaller and no clamps fit this. Scrim King actually makes this cool little hook. It's like $5. You can hook your scrim onto it. So anyway, that's all my non-ADJ stuff, and that's the first thing I wanted to show you. And we will be looking at this a little more a little later on. Next thing I want to show you is this totem behind me. A lot of you already peeked at it and catched my thunder. Let me bring this down so Ed can see. Pins. There's a pin in there. It clips in place, so I don't have to hold it down and tighten it at the same time. Anybody do totems? One guy? That's it. They're pretty cool. The problem with them is that they're bulky. Box trussing is not heavy at all, but it's very bulky. And I don't know, unless you're driving a big giant vehicle, you don't necessarily want to carry this big bulky square trussing with you everywhere you go. So I saw a cool solution. I can't take credit for it. Got to give credit to David Reed at RSD Music in Reading, England. I saw this at BPM, one of the biggest DJ-only gear shows in the world. Amazing stuff. But this was by far the coolest thing I saw. Let me show you. Looks like box truss, right? See that?
Oh, nice.
This is ladder truss. 2 I-beams. A small base plate and top plate. Now I normally use a bigger base plate, but this is just for demo purposes. I didn't feel like abusing myself from Milwaukee dragging that up here. But your client's not going to be able to tell. This looks like box truss. And I can tear it apart if you'd like. It stacks up real small. It's tiny. It's very compact. It's not going to take up all this room like box truss is. You're going to be able to put 2 I-beam or ladder truss beams, or 4, I guess. If you're running 2 totems, it's going to take up less space in your vehicle than 1 box truss.
I like that.
Super easy to set up, and it's going to save you money. So this is the kind of stuff I can do by myself. And for those of you wondering, what the hell is this for? Well, you can do a lot of things with it. And that's where we're going to kind of get into our lighting a little bit. These are cool to put moving heads on top of. And, you know, sometimes you use a beam, sometimes you use a head. But the cool part about this, especially aluminum, is it glows. And that's what we're going to get into our lighting today. And we'll get into that shortly. But we will get into it right now. But I'm going to show you some kind of cool stuff that ADJ has that's new and has made my job a lot easier. How many people uplight? Okay, how many people DMX their uplight? How many people run it static? I'm a static guy. And, you know, just pick a color, we can run it. Of course I can DMX it, but it's going to cost you 3 times the money. And, you know, because it's a hassle, right? So here, now we have these cool Mega Go parts from ADJ. They are wireless. The battery on these lights will last 8 hours full on RGB, so that's full on. If you choose a static color like this, it'll last a lot longer. Now, if you look at the back of the room, I mean, more than enough light for, you know, just about any gig you're going to do. The cool thing about these lights is if you wanted to run a static color, let's say in a box truss or a cool ladder truss like this, it fits perfect in here. If you take the bracket off, it will fit. Now, with that in mind, if I set this flat down, we'd have what is that, about 4 inches tall? It's 4 inches from the bottom of the truss to the light source. that's dark in the truss. Now that, shouldn't really matter, but wouldn't it be cool to take that space up and make it all light up? Here's a cool solution. They also make it in jelly, clear casing. This is brand new, this just came in before I left. Same thing, super bright, battery power. This is not lithium, so if you don't keep a charge on them, you could lose memory in the battery, so you always want to keep a charge in them. The charge lasts a long time. This one's at 75% right now. And I don't want to blind anybody, but as you can see, it's...
Sure, I ain't to blind anybody, but let me blind you.
I'll find out. I don't mind blinding it. And could you do me a favor?
That's a battery.
Could you pull this bracket up for me? Just to save some time. And I'll show you how that fits right in there. It's kind of a cool look. Again, you're not going to have that, dead air space or dead light space, I guess, in the ladder truss. Excellent. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Give that a big round of applause for.
Hey, that's how much it is wrong.
To a guy like me.
Can you put it back?
All right, so. Damn, look at that. So the jelly kind of helps you out a little bit, and it's just kind of a cool way to use it. You could use obviously the white one, but it kind of hides in there. You don't see that black in there. Creates a really nice look. Now, obviously, you can DMX these if you want to. And in fact, they're coming out with some new stuff. It's called Wi-Flex. It's going to be battery-powered, wireless DMX. Have you all seen the, what is it, the controller, what the heck do they call it? RGB W4C. It's a little American DJ controller. It basically controls red, green, blue, and white or amber, whatever your fourth light is. They're actually making that with Wi-Flex too. So you're going to be able to just have that little bitty controller and then all of your lights hooked up to Wi-Flex and you're done. It's all battery powered except before you plug that in. The wireless is all open for you for complete DMX control. That's down the road, just mentioning it now. So that's not a bad look. And I do this kind of thing a lot, but what I really prefer to do, because I'm trying to keep things slimmed down on my micro system, I need bang for the buck. I need something that's going to do more than maybe just warm my truss. So, I'm going to enlist that again. Sorry. It's actually the first time I've tried this. Let me see. Should work. I'm thinking it'll work. Pop that one for me yet? This is brand new. It's the Mega Tri-Par 64. 3-watt Tri-LEDs. It's a little brighter. And what this will do is not only warm my truss, but what it should do, and we're going to test it, I'm thinking it's going to work, it's also going to wash the room with a dance area. We're going to call this the dance floor. It's swarming. Good. Clap for it. I like it.
Yay, winning records.
Just a second here, plug it in, because this is not battery powered. Let's get it in here first.
Come on, if you're going to be funny, speak up so everybody can hear you.
Watch your head. Yeah, see, it's a little brighter. And can we bring the lights up for a second? Let's see how much wash we get out of this. Quite a bit of wash. That's one light. Imagine one on each side. Do you really need extra pars to wash your dance floor? At this point, you've got a nice light wash. You've got something cool and visual to see here. So stuff like this is a cool option for you. Go ahead and bring it back. Pardon? Yeah, well, this is aluminum anyway, so you're already getting the reflection somewhat. I mean, if I can tip that up, so you're already getting some reflection there.
Just get a buffer. Polish it right out.
So that's the new big guy, Mega Tri 64 LED. And actually, Ed was so kind. Here, let's go ahead and pass these around. These goes if you want to check them out. Turn them on, play with them a little bit. There's 2 switches on there you have to hit for the light to come on. One's to actually turn the power on, one's to turn the light on. So here's the, you don't have to. You can have a little play with it.
Roughly how much do they run price-wise?
The goes? John, what are the goes going for? I don't even know. They're under 2, I think.
Yeah, I think they're map at 199 or somewhere in that ballpark.
That's MAP, that's,
Yeah.
you never pay MAP, just so you know, it's dumb. Sorry, MAP, don't pay MAP.
Have I ever charged anybody in this room map?
No. Yes.
Brian, did you want?
You must not be talking
Oh,
about it.
yeah. John has this way.
That was a pain in the ass key.
This is,
It's your
this is a
Pita.
Mega Go Bar 50, same concept, it's a bar. If you like bar lights, these are really cool for even like a column. What's that behind you? Oh, you can't.
I can't.
But just hold it back there. See, if this was on the floor, see the size of this? This is like the perfect light for a column like this. It lights it up great. You know, no dead space or anything. Obviously, we're kind of holding it up weird, but yeah, these are really cool. They're small. And notice, does anybody own any Mega Bar 50s? The old school ones? This isn't any bigger. They actually put the battery in a regular, casing. They didn't change the design of this at all. Here, you want one? Check it out. It's essentially the same thing. This battery. Pretty cool, huh? Yeah. You can actually charge all those if you use an IAC extension. You can daisy chain them all together. I think I hit some buttons on there, but it's the same thing. If you got an old school one, a lot of, I'm not trying to, some of the battery powered stuff that's out there right now, it looks like they hooked a battery up for a Honda motorcycle on the bottom of it. And I don't personally like that. I don't want a big chunky light. I like to have the smallest light possible. And if you're running static, this is a beautiful way to go.
How many hours generally on
The battery, 8 hours full on RGB, but that is greatly extended. If you're only running one static color or you're mixing colors, it can go up to 12 plus. If you're only running like blue, for instance. But if you're running red, green, and blue, creating a white effect, it's an 8, like that one is right now, it's 8 hours. So, and then there is actually a little readout on there that tells you what your battery life is. So right now, I think the one they have in their hands is 75%. I've done gigs with them. I've forgotten to charge them and done another 6 hours of the next gig with, just the static color, like a blue or a green or red or whatever. Or even a little mix like a magenta.
If you know you're getting low on the battery, you can pretty much have it plug in and just have it.
Absolutely, and I've done that at gigs before too. During dinner, I don't really need some of these lights. So I plug them in behind me just to get a little bit of a charge on it, get like 2 hours on them or something like that. More than it takes me through the evening. So, but yeah, full charge, it could take you 6 to 8 hours initially, but if you keep up on it, they're cool options. It's a real cool option. The technology is relatively new, but what I'm happy to see again is, there's no, moped car battery or car battery on this thing, because that's just kind of unsightly. So while we looked at that, we kind of got the point on this. I got a couple more lights I want to show you. Is everybody familiar with the Megapart profile, the original one? It's a cool little light. It's under $100, and it's essentially red, green, blue, kind of like those over there. Of course, you have to plug this one in. It's a little affordable way to get started with your uplighting. Very durable. The casings are like telephone plastic, if you remember those. And something really cool about these that I like, and I haven't really seen any other lights, even these. Collapsible yokes. So if you're using yokes on any of this stuff, it won't collapse on you. Something else cool about these, all these I'm showing you. On the bottom, there are rubber feet. And that's also where your control panel is, where your buttons are. You can eliminate the yoke and set it flat down. It won't hurt anything. You take the yoke off and you can go right on the ground with it, just like we do on the totem. So you've got options. If you want to pass that around to me, if you want to check it out. This is the tri-LED version. Essentially the same wattage, about 18 watts, but you get truer color mixing always when you're mixing with tri-LED. So here's another one, if anybody wants to check that out.
How do you like the QA Part 38?
The QA Part 38? You mean this one?
Yes.
These are great.
Yeah, back here.
This is brand new. This is brand new. If you compare it, can I see one of those? Just hold it up. See a size comparison on this? As you can see, it's a little smaller than the traditional Megapart profile. But it's quad LED. Red, green, blue, and amber on these. QA quad A, that's what it stands for. And I just want to plug it in so you guys can kind of see how bright it is. Because it's only 3, right? You think, well, that's not going to be very bright at all. Thing is, these are new technology, new lenses. Things are pretty bright on this. Okay, you're not going to run into this, I think, situation where you're going to say, wow, this is what I have on the wall that I've got here. Now, look at that. It's super duper bright. It's a relatively narrow beam angle. And you know, for most of us who are doing nothing, don't we want a narrow beam angle? I mean, you don't want a big wide thing because you want to highlight architectural details. Columns or create columns on blank walls, like behind us. It's not very interesting, but if we put maybe an uplight in each corner and then one in the middle, we've created, you know, some texture on that wall. And I think that's kind of where it's at. That's how I like to do it personally. And all this stuff, back to our scrum back here, looks pretty cool behind this. It's like 2 effects in one. I mean, this aim kind of weird here. I could get a lighter beam angle and it works pretty well under here. But I end up with 2-in-1 effects when I'm DJing, and it helps me. Makes that glow. It's form and function at the same time. You can do this with, you know, virtually any LED fixture.
Yeah, that one I don't think's the better. Yeah. Oh. What plug it in?
Pardon?
I have no idea. Brian, how much are those running?
They map at 139. I heard somebody tell me yesterday they come for 189.
Brian, what about these? Plug-in program colors.
Those are about the same price, actually.
And these are not battery powered.
No, those are not.
That explains why.
No, these are kind of the deal right now. I think these are 2 ways. But see, I mean, like I said, this isn't a real white beam angle when I take a light, but I've got the 2-in-1 effect that's pretty cool. And I can hook that up to a little controller, like I was talking about, the W4C. I can do strokes, fades for slow dances. I can do sound active, I can do built-in patterns. All kinds of neat stuff, and it's so simple. And simple for me, and easy, is definitely where it's at. So there's, I also have this Mega Gel profile, or Jelly Part profile. Essentially the same as the Mega Part profile, but clear. Again, under $100.
I don't think you're ready for this, Joey.
This is not battery powered. This is the regular, you know, AC version. But again, really cool stuff. If you want to warm a totem, so you don't have to use the big 64 version. You can use a smaller one and get almost as much light. One more thing I had to show you, and I'll take any questions on anything at all you have, and I'll do my best. As cool as this is, and as easy as this is, sometimes I want something a little more wow, I guess. Now this guy right here, this is my favorite right now. Do you know color beams? It's a moving head beam. Now the difference between a beam and a wash, the beam has a narrow beam angle. It's like straight up, like a lightsaber kind of. Where a wash is a wider beam angle. So these are real popular for nightclubs. These are real popular for like, American Idol. They use these a lot when they're, you know, flipping around, or X Factor, or America's Got Talent. You see a lot of beam fixtures. They're real hot right now. This is RGB diodes. I believe these are 3 watts in here, so it's super bright, and you'll see this in a minute. And again, forgive me for doing this. I'm going to blind you. I'm trying to show you how bright it is. It's very bright. And when I first got this thing, I was trying to figure out how I was going to use this light without blinding people. Because it's just that bright. No, it's the good stuff. Don't worry about it. It'll warm up and does this little thing. But yeah, I just couldn't figure out for the life of me how to use this thing. Because it was so bright. I had a smaller version of this out a while back, and people were complaining. It's like, That's not even cool. Turn that thing off. It wasn't. It really wasn't cool. It was super bright. No, don't do this to me. Come on. All right, fine. Yeah, it's doing the thing.
Roughly, how much does it like that?
This?
Yes.
A lot. I don't know what they are, honestly. They're like 750 or something. Come on.
Actually get the Ed Spencer price.
Yes. Yeah, for a meeting fixture, it's not expensive at all. I mean, this kind of stuff, Elation makes it, Martin makes it, you know, this is American DJ who made this. So, you know, it's a pretty big step up.
No, Martin McVicker was like $5.5 grand.
Right. It's ridiculous. And that's, yeah, see, it's got some brightness to it. All right. So, you know, here it's moving around. And look how narrow that beam angle is. I mean, that's not like a wide wash. That's a beam. So, you know, it's
Actually,
cool.
it's an RGBW fixture.
Oh, you're right. You're right. I knew there was a reason I kept you around there. RGBW. So red, green, blue, and white. So what are you going to do? Here, check this out. Simple. Let's defuse it with a scrim. I take 2 of these. I do a pan invert, which is basically like mirroring the fixture. I've got one on each side, and it creates kind of a Hollywood look for everybody. Hits the screen sometimes, hits the wall sometimes, and you get washed into the insult. So it's a cool look, I think. And you get the crisscross behind you. You know, I'm blind because I just looked at it, but it's a cool way to use it. And it's a cool way to use your scrim, too. So more form, more function on this piece. So that's what I had to show you today. Does anyone have any questions? Any answers?
Are they looking into, let's say I don't want to use a computer to program my DMX, but I have these small par cans. Are they looking at anything where you can have a master slave, but then the slaves will be alternating, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, instead
You
of
know,
all blue, all green?
If you step into that RGB W4C, you can actually assign your fixtures a little bit on that to do that. There's some limited control, so you can do that on the small, you know, basically it's a 4-channel DMX controller.
Right.
But there are a few options on there, fixtures 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, 8. You can do like 2 at a time.
And that's a what? Which one?
It's called the American DJ RGBW 4C. So red, green, blue, white, 4 control. And that's 4-channel. It says W, but it could just very well be RGBA for amber. It doesn't matter, whichever kind of, you know, light you have. Quad LED at any rate.
So that's the panel.
Ryan, what was that one more time? American DJ or
Well, that's-
RGBW.
Yes, I'm sorry?
RGBW 4C.
Somebody holler?
What if I don't, I mean, I'm not, I guess something where, you know, this is master, then I have, I DMX this one to 2, 3, and 4.
Uh-huh.
This tells 2, 3, and 4 what to do.
Oh.
Why are
yeah.
every other
I don't want a control panel, I want to be able to hang this sucker, make this master, and then within the circuitry of this, I'm able to tell the remaining 4 what to do instead of having to go back to the panel.
Are you doing like uploading on the wall kind of thing? Is that
No,
what
like
you want?
like a T-bar, a small T-bar.
You know what you want, don't you? We don't have one here. They have a fixture out right now. It's really cool. It's under $400. It's called the Megapar Profile System. It comes with a tripod, and your lights are already on a T-bar for like watching the dance floor or whatever. You can absolutely do that. It chases back and forth. It's foot pedal controlled. And the computer bit, you know, it's all built into the bar. The bar is actually the electronics of the thing, and then the actual lights are just the panels. There's no, you know, guts in them, or, you know, like LCD menu in them. He was going to bring one. He didn't. He's like, I don't need that thing. Probably should have. It's exactly what you were asking for. It also comes in a Jelly Par profile system, so you can also have those clear, you know, lights if you'd like. Either way, they're real popular with bands. DJs are starting to use them a lot. They're pretty cool. Real simple. Again, I've used that system myself. I wasn't using it at first because I didn't have any 1 and 3 tripods that were powered. Well, now I do. Frankenstein's all 1.3, so I'll probably start using that system because I couldn't get it, you know, I don't want to say I couldn't get it up. I couldn't put it in the air. I had to. With one hand. How's that sound? That's another story. Something for the bar. Yes, sir.
In terms of versatility, because I know there's a lot of debate in the industry, RGBW or RGBA. In terms of functionality, versatility, and the full colored spectrum, where do you stand on that? 'Cause there's amenities on both
that's
sides.
kind of that's a goofy one. Actually, if I had to get one or the other, I get the RGBW because you can. It's kind of a crappy amber, but you can make an amber with RGB with the tri-LED. It's not great. It's a little greeny, but most of your clients won't know it. But you cannot make a pastel without white. So if your client wants pink, they're SOL unless you have white, you know, to mix. You know, so for that reason, if I had to do one or the other, I would get RGBW. Now, hopefully, and they would kill me for saying this, we'll start doing, you know, the 5 RGB ADJs. That's what we all want, we all need. I think where technology is right now, we don't want to pay for it. But, you know, maybe even... Pardon?
You'd be surprised.
Well, I mean, Martin had their LED 200 out 6 years ago that did those RGB AW fixtures.
Right.
IP65 rated, $5 grand a piece for
There you go.
a par can.
There you go. With the American DJ stuff, it's all about affordability. It's about,
Yeah,
you know, what's going to be good value for you. They're not going to shove something down your throat that next year you're going to be able to buy for a quarter of the price, because that's not good business for you or us. So, you know, it's about getting the technology not only where it needs to be, but also at the price point it needs to be at. And that's pretty much how they do things on that end of things. Don't just step into elation, it's different. You know, they're kind of like Martin White.
Brian,
I'm sorry.
Brian, you were mentioning this, and I actually had a couple of people ask me as I'm walking through
Oh,
about that light. And this was a shot at the Vegas Las Vegas DJ show. This is the Mega Park profile right here. There's the jelly version and this version. It's basically, the system is a tree, the crossbar and the lights are bolted to it, and the controller basically is inside the crossbar in the top there.
Who's that sexy beast standing next to it?
Yeah, that's a good question.
See, the problem with that
do it
is,
for me, you know.
Go
is
ahead.
that if you already have an existing, like my T-bar, we have 3 systems, and the one T-bar I'm thinking about is triangular already, so I already have stuff hung. So I don't need another T-bar
Yeah.
in the system, because I'm already hung the way I want it, but I want this. Available.
You're a better man than I am.
Already have 5 children.
I know why.
But see, that's why, you know, having this being the control center, to me makes more sense. Versus that, I could never use in my system. Because I would just never have the room to be able to hang that on my triangular truss that
I really think in your case, your best bet is going to be when this wireless DMX stuff's more available to you. I know it sounds like a pain in the ass, but it's not that. I mean, especially when you're working with, you know, 4 line faders, most of it's push button. And you can just set it and forget it if you want to, if that's what you'd like to do a master slave.
Right.
Just set it, forget it. Here, I want it to do this chase all night, boom, walk away. It's probably your best bet. I mean, ultimately, you can put them on just random, and they'll just do stuff.
Speedy, what other lights are you running?
Well, see, and I got Show Express too, so I mean, I really can't complain. I mean,
That's the thing. I would assume though you're wanting to have something that's simple for your other DJs to use, and
Right.
I had a similar situation. Before I went into this, I was actually using the American DJ Duo station, which gave me the ability to chase and control chases of the RGB fixture, and then it had 8 channels of on-off, so I could turn on a vertigo type of a light or whatever. So I could have the on-off. Because I didn't want to get into DMX either.
It's a great piece.
I really like it. The biggest problem I've had is that as soon as you get into RGBA or RGBW, you can't use it anymore.
Right.
But I had that control and I had that light, and I had gotten a jelly version of this, and after having it, I've gone to this almost exclusively. And the biggest, I mean, I'm just going to pull ahead here. First off, it's very, you just have a few pieces.
Sure.
But again, keep in mind, I don't like DMX. That unit, when I can have that down here on the floor and I can hit the blackout, they can do the sound control, which I don't do. Programs, there's, I'm going to say 1924, I don't know how many, but basically I use programs 5 and 11. And of course I can go to static color for slow dances, and that has become basically, my light show can be set up in 2 minutes or less, and that's my controller.
What size dance floor can you cover with that?
I've done larger, dance floors larger than this with it. The programs that I've
With
chosen.
1 bar?
With 1 bar. Because I just turn the lights a little bit so they kind of expand out. And again, with the programs, some programs will have it where it goes, like on, off,
Right.
on, off, whatever. I don't like that. I want all 4 of them on. They can change colors and these things. And they'll be changing colors at different, this will be red, and then a red will go here, and then a red will go here, and this will be whatever. That's why I've selected some programs I like. But
Okay.
for quick and easy, the voice profile systems are just, they're awesome.
They're
cheap.
yeah, math for like 300.
Yeah, they're really.
Cat.
This is the Mega Park profile, and the one I have is the Jelly, because at first I thought, I was looking at these things.
Basically, these,
Yeah, it's the same except it's clear. And I was looking at this at first when they first came out with the jelly stuff, and it's like, gosh, I don't know how it. Well, after getting it and having it, I have had people, and I didn't think this was going to happen, people come up and say, that's so cool, because the whole case glows.
what's interesting about that, I mean, with the Mega Park profile system, you have a more focused light, like if you want to hit something in particular. But with the Jelly Park profile system, you get a little bit of a wash behind it, it's clear.
Yeah.
So the light goes in more than just, I mean, it's faint, it's definitely filtered, but you get a little bit of light behind it. So if you have that kind of behind you as a DJ, you get a little bit on your wall. So it's kind of